So if you believe your girl is the one and she passes away before you guys get married, if she passes away, would you be either called to singleness the rest of your life because she was your soulmate and there's not going to be anyone else out there for you or the right person out there for you? Or would you kind of take a step back and maybe be like, maybe there isn't one? Will Clemente on the podcast, everyone. Give it up for Will.
It's calling me. Stop calling me.
Man, we're on a podcast. Turn your phone on silent like it's Catholic Church, dude. Come on.
It is on silent.
Jeez.
It's on vibration.
You need to chill. Say hi to the people of YouTube.
Hi.
I really need a applause soundboard for my guests. That actually would probably make them feel more welcome.
Yep.
Willy, how are you doing today?
Great. I'm tired.
Willy has been trying to get on the podcast for a minute now, and once he heard Josh was on the podcast, he's like,
I was a bit offended.
all right, so you're going to get Josh on the podcast and not me.
Exactly.
I don't know what that says about Josh or if you guys want to have a conversation about that, but
no, we're going to fight it out in the parking lot.
Will actually came to me and wanted to be on the podcast, and I would love for Will to be on the podcast, and that's why he's here. And he actually presented a few topics of conversation that he wanted to talk about. But first, I wanted to talk about kind of where you're at right now. Obviously, you have a girlfriend. I want to talk a little bit about that. Like, how did you guys first meet? And kind of keep it brief, but let's hear it.
Yeah. Okay. To make a long story short, I was scrolling through my Instagram, and I noticed her on my explore page. Not necessarily my suggestion. Oh, it is kind of. She was on my explore, and I saw her picture, and immediately
slid into the DM.
Exactly, that's what we did.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, and yeah, it's been great.
This is something that you've expressed to me, and I don't know if you want to put this out publicly to everyone in the world, but do you think that she is the one?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You heard it here first. Everyone drop a ring in that comment section. That is dope.
Yeah.
But we were talking about this last night. Do you believe in the one, meaning the one singular person that is meant for you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Explain that a little bit.
I believe, at least for myself, I can't speak on behalf of everyone, but as far as through what I've studied through the Bible and then just experience too, I feel like as people we have a free will to kind of do what we want and pick who we want. Yeah. But I think the whole idea of finding the one is, it's more, for me, it's more, there is someone that God has intended for you to be with, and God has for you. But, it's kind of, people, we live in a fallen world where we jump to relationship. And obviously some people are put in our lives so that we can learn from each other.
Yeah.
But for sure, I think that God definitely has someone for everyone.
So you could come at this from like a Christian biblical perspective where there is a one. What would you say to someone who doesn't? Like, how would you explain this concept of the one to someone that?
So for me, at least, it all stems from my perspective. When God created man, he created this incredible garden and this incredible world that we're in, and he created this man. And it even says in Genesis 2:18, in the NIV version, the Lord said, "It is not good for the man to be alone.
Amen.
I will make him a helper suitable for him."
Yep.
So to me, just that, I will make a helper suitable for him, to me is like showing that God definitely has a plan.
Yeah.
And definitely has an idea of who he wants you to be with, in a sense.
So you believe that there is only one person for every person that is called to be, married. If you're called to singleness, it doesn't apply to you, but you believe that there's one single person out there.
I do. I know there's, and see, it all goes back to mainly like free will. Mm-hmm. When we made that, not necessarily like you're making a mistake by dating around or, but I feel like we can really believe that someone is the one, but not really have, the knowing unless, God's really shows you that person's the one.
Yeah. And you feel like you have that knowing with your girl now?
I feel like knowing because I've been in a couple of relationships, and then people that know me know that those relationships crumbled.
Yeah.
Because of the way I was going through things and the way I felt about myself. And I feel like I wanted those people to be the one. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that I knew myself that it was never going to work out. Mm. And how I know now, I feel like it definitely, you kind of just, it's kind of just a hunch. Like when you, at least for me, when I first met her, I just immediately knew this is the person that I want to be with.
Okay.
For the rest of my life.
Gotcha. Now, this is where my perspective kind of comes in, where I have a different opinion on this situation, where I feel like there isn't a one single person. I feel like you're talking about, God gives us free will. I feel like there could be a bunch of different people that you can possibly marry. And I feel like you use wisdom in that and you make the best calculated decision. And so I feel like there isn't just one like soulmate, I guess you could say, where it's like it's this person or it's no one. And I guess the question I would ask you is, and this is a very extreme example. So you say that your girl is the one, right? And you're like, that you know. Mm-hmm. So does that mean, God forbid, if she passes away in some tragic accident today, you would never get married?
That's a good perspective.
Yeah.
That's a really good perspective.
And God forbid that I'm making
no, yeah, for sure.
Well, but it's possible. Like we could die today, we could die tomorrow, anytime.
I still believe the fact that God does have a plan for us. Mm-hmm. And if God also knows the desires of your hearts.
Yeah.
But I really do think I can really stick to the fact that I get that whole perspective.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the most extreme perspective. And whereas the good point was brought up to me, what about arranged marriages? Mm-hmm. Some work out,
Yeah.
A lot of arranged marriages, are from other world countries and stuff like that. For example, India, 90% of marriages over there are arranged.
Yeah.
And then I think it's 40 to 50% of just the entire world is arranged marriages. Mm-hmm. And out of all those marriages, I think it's 1.6% don't get married. But usually those people decide, yes, I want to marry that person, or no, I don't want to marry that person. But to go back to the initial, if she did go, I feel like if God has the plan already, then he's not going to let anything get. No man or no person could even stop that. That's how I see it. I mean, it could probably be just from a whole. I mean, a lot of people, really bounce around relationships and, they don't really want to settle down. Mm-hmm. For myself, I still believe that God solely has a plan for you. Mm-hmm.
But you did not answer my question.
I know.
you were bouncing around the question.
I know. If she did go tomorrow, I believe that I still strongly believe that she was and is the one for me still.
Mm-hmm.
And if God wanted me to be single, then I'd be single. I just know for myself that that this person that has been placed in front of me who has changed my life, not in a negative way, in a positive way.
Yeah.
And not telling me to run to the Bible, but just showing me by their actions.
Mm-hmm.
When someone's leading you to God and not leading you astray from God, and their heart is set on with their relationship with God, and you're both on the same page, I do. And I feel like, when men find not, I feel like when a man finds his wife, he finds a good thing.
Yep.
And you'll just know, men, you'll just know based off of just your hunch, your feeling, your gut, like the feeling in your stomach. You just know in your heart that that's going to be my wife. I do think that people do bounce around, though, for sure.
Yeah.
And,
I feel like you can know as much as you want to know.
Yeah.
But you don't really know, especially until like you, as people like to say, put a ring on it and actually get married, because we make our own plans, but God has his own plans.
Exactly.
And anything can happen. Like someone could pass away, someone could get sick, someone could have a whole mindset shift and go through a whole weird spiral season. And
I think for me, I feel like God has that person for you, because if he has that person for Adam and he gave him Eve,
mm-hmm.
specified to him, why can't I have someone like that? And
there wasn't a lot of options back then.
Yeah, there wasn't. Obviously, there wasn't a lot of options. But then, I really do feel like, like God has someone for you, but that doesn't mean that we're always going to listen to what God says. And that's why we do live in this world where it's super fallen, and that's the whole point of free will.
Mm-hmm.
That's why God gave us the choice to follow him or not.
Yeah.
And we choose who we want to be with. And that may affect our life in a negative way, or it could affect our life in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we will never know until God shows us,
mm-hmm.
and in his own way,
mm-hmm.
whether it's through people, whether it's through the feeling that God gives you, whether it's through visions and dreams. And it's really all through God's plan, but we could definitely hinder that based off of...
We could hinder God's plan?
No, we can't hinder God's plan, but we could definitely we can
deter from God's plan.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, Willy, getting into some murky waters. Yeah. So answer this question straight up. And I think there's only two answers to this. And I'm going to keep sticking to this. I'm keep pressing it because I want you to answer it directly. I want you to be strong in what you believe, because I think there could be, I'm not opposed to, I'm not closed-minded with your opinion on this.
Yeah.
So if you believe your girl is the one and she passes away
mm-hmm.
before you guys get married, if she passes away, would you be either called to singleness the rest of your life because she was your soulmate and there's not going to be anyone else out there for you, or the right person out there for you? Or would you kind of take a step back and maybe be like, maybe there isn't one?
No, I would still stick to it. I'd still stick to singleness.
I respect that.
And I say that with 100% guarantee, at least for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Just because people don't just stay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people out there are not strong enough to, help someone with their baggage and stuff like that, and be there and still,
mm-hmm.
have a full heart and lead you to God and not astray from God. And I guess that also goes into the, everyone can really be used by God.
Yeah, I actually love that we have different perspectives on this because then we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure other people have different perspectives on it too.
Yeah.
So that's dope. Your girl's name's Paloma, right?
Yeah.
Paloma, shout out to Paloma. I hope you're not going to pass away. You're going to get married to Will and it's going to be happily ever after.
Yeah, no, when you said that, I was like, are you serious right now?
No, I'm sorry. It's a true thing though. Like it's a real example that can happen
really
at any
really
side.
is.
Either you pass, I could pass away today. I could have a heart attack because I like McDonald's French fries. But yeah, shout out to Paloma. I know you've been good to Willy and been a light in his life.
She's been extreme. It's crazy. It's I don't know. That's why I feel so strongly about it, just because of the fact that like it wasn't just like, oh yeah, she got me off drugs. It was way more than that.
Yeah.
It was like I got to see into her life and her walk with God just by her actions. And even her parents are incredible people. And they just
that's big, bro. That's big. Like looking like you're talking to me about it, looking at her parents' relationship and her parents' relationship with her.
Oh my gosh.
And like how they conduct their household.
It's phenomenal. Like I dream about having like everything you think about to be like a dream family. You know, the funny dad, the corny dad, the dad who makes you breakfast, the mom who sticks by her husband, you know, and then just the way they speak to each other. Yeah, it's very wholehearted. That's dope, bro. And it's something that I think we all dream about.
Shout out to the future in-laws.
Yeah.
Why do you scream? Jeez. I hope you're enjoying my conversation with Willy. Quick question. Do you think that there is a one sole person for you that is your soulmate, that you're meant to be with your whole life and no one else? Drop it down in the comment section below, but let's get back to this one. That's dope, bro. So next kind of topic I wanted to get into would be kind of the music side of things, where you're someone who I think would classify yourself as a musician. Yeah. Artist. Da Vinci. Yeah. I don't even know what Da Vinci is. Is he an artist? Yeah. The Da Vinci Code? Oh. Nicolas Cage?
He was creative, right?
Something like that. So like start off, when did you start like writing music, playing music?
It all started at when I was 15, and I remember walking into youth at church. By the way, if nobody knows who this is, what this is Cottonwood Church, their youth group that they had a long time ago. I remember walking in, and it looked like a Coldplay concert. There's like a stand-up piano, carpet everywhere. It was super hipster. Everyone there wore flannels, had handlebar mustaches and suspenders. Anyway.
I love those vibes.
Oh, yeah. And no, and there was a guy up there named Josiah Beeson. Shout out to Josiah.
You are name dropping hard.
Shout out to Josiah. I don't care. And I just saw him playing his Fender Mustang, and it wasn't really worship at that point. Yeah. No, it was his guitar. Yeah, he was playing his car. And he and I saw him playing up there, and I was just so inspired by him. He looked amazing, had an incredible voice.
That's dope.
And he could sing and play, and I was just like, I want to do that. Like, I want to play. Yeah. And so I think I hit him up because at that point I was listening to a lot of music, a lot of different types of music. Unfortunately, a lot of different types of music. I kind of wanted to find like this specific sound when I was a kid, but I never found it until I turned like 18. But I remember because my dad we would drive to his job. He would work Monday through Saturday. Yeah. And on Saturdays, nobody would be there except just him. So he would take me along with him to work. And I would work with him. Yeah. At this paint store. And always, and every single time, he would just turn on K-Rock. You know. And it was all was like, dang, this is crazy.
So what music did you end up listening to? Like what would you say, like, even back then, like you could say till now, your main genre of music that you listen to?
I can't say that I listen to the songs that I used to listen to in the past.
None of them?
Not so much anymore, just
Mm.
because of the fact that like those songs were more like they sounded great, but they never really spoke to me.
Was it the same genre, or was it what do you listen to now?
Now I listen to punk music, post-punk.
Were you listening to punk music back then?
No.
Oh, okay.
So back then when I was younger, my whole concept or outlook on punk music was like the pop punk bands, like Green Day, like all these other bands that like would not be they would just be considered pop rock basically.
Okay.
So I would listen to those, but when I really like found music, was with the Smiths.
Mm.
And that's when I started. It was my mentor. I saw him, and he just looked like an outsider. He looked so different.
Yeah.
And I was just like, And I never was really like. I was always like loud, but at the end of the day, it was like just a gesture, like someone making everyone laugh, and then at the end of the day, he would just be sad. Like he would not. It would just be depressed. It would just be like this show for people, and that's how it was for me.
Yeah,
and just completely not understanding people, not understanding what I was really feeling at that point. But my mentor and he's still my mentor now. He was like, "Oh, I listen to the Morrissey and the Smiths," and I was like, "Okay."
That's dope.
And I started listening. I hated it because it sounded like nothing to me.
Yeah.
And then that's when I really like sat down and listened to it. And I think the first song that I really got that spoke to me was "This Night Has Opened My Eyes," and I was just like taken back because of how sad his voice was.
Yeah.
And like the lyrics were like much more than you could ever like if you want to like listen to music like self-loathing and stuff like that, and just being on the outside and not being understood,
Kind of like Drake.
kind of, but Drake is
Isn't that cool though? Like different types of music, different genres of music, but you can have like the same feeling.
yeah.
Obviously, if your preference is different, you're not going to have the same feeling because you can be like, this is kind of whack.
Yeah.
But different people that like different genres can have the same feeling in different types of music. That's dope.
Yeah, it's I mean, I love music. I think my outlook on music now is so
You don't
much
like Drake?
different.
As a
No,
certified simp, you don't
no.
like Drake.
No. No, I'm not a fan of popular music now.
Mm.
I'm really not. It's not.
Hipster.
No, not necessarily. It's and then
It's okay. You can embrace your hipster.
I'm not even hipster. No, I just like none of the music speaks to me. It says it really like for Smiths fans who understand what I'm saying, it really doesn't say anything about my life.
What do you feel like? Do you feel like that music like shaped you or gave you like different ideologies or
Absolutely
kind of helped you? Yeah.
it
Talk about
helped.
that.
Okay, so there's a couple of songs of people who are listening right now. They could probably go listen to it. There is a song called "Ask" by the Smiths.
Yeah.
It's a very happy sounding song, but it's about being shy. And
Okay.
then, in that there's a line, the first line, shyness is nice. Shyness can stop you from doing all the things you want to.
That's good.
So it's like, people don't like, people hear music like that and they're just like, it sounds great, it's happy, But when they look into it, it's so much more deeper than that. And that's why when you go to those, obviously the Smiths aren't around, but when you go to like events like that, like Morrissey events, it's just a bunch of people who are outsiders, who just who never understood at home, who didn't want to be home, who were trying to figure out themselves. And this man, Morrissey, with his lyrics, really spoke to people. Almost not to get into like he's like a god or something, but to some people out there, he's like
some people out there, he probably is a god.
Yeah, he's like a king.
Yeah,
basically. Like,
no, I got into it. I talked about it before on the podcast, where I literally like worshipped this dude named Tyler, the Creator, because I just followed him hard. And yeah, it's crazy like that you listen to these people's lyrics and you relate to them so much, and you love like their personality so much, maybe, and you put them on this pedestal, and without even realizing it or knowing it, you're making them an idol.
Yeah, and
not in the good way.
Yeah. Sometimes I know people that go out there. You can really tell a Morrissey fan and a Smiths fan for sure. Usually, I see a lot of young people like myself wearing those Smith shirts. And like I remember I went up to one girl and she was she wore like a Meat Is Murder shirt, which is the second album. And I was like, hey, like I like your shirt. Where'd you get it? And I was asking her questions about the album. She was just like, I don't really listen to them. I only listen to like the basic songs.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, just like This Charming Man, stuff like that. And I was like, okay. And then I was telling her about like the backstory behind This Charming Man, where it's actually about a person who's riding a bike, who gets a punctured bicycle, and now this charming man comes and picks him up and shows him like that he takes him on this basically like this trip of who he is, and to find out who he is.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people really look into that stuff.
Yeah.
So
you should start a podcast on like your genres of music and like literally just break down songs from like the Smiths. And are the Smiths and Morrissey like connected? I have no idea.
Yeah, so Morrissey is the lead singer of the Smiths.
Okay, yeah.
And then there's Johnny Marr on guitar, Andy Rock on bass, and then Mike Joyce on drums.
You should like literally consider starting a podcast on the Smiths. I think that'd be dope because they have like a good following, right?
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's like,
I feel like people would listen to that podcast.
Yeah, there was like a lot of, from what I've been told, obviously I'm not trying to offend any, 80s older people, but from what I was understood, there was like a lot of top bands, and it was Depeche Mode, The Cure, and the Smiths.
Yeah. So you would say that the Smiths and Morrissey, all these people, you would look up to them as musical artists and someone that you aspire to be like as far as music.
I mean, Johnny Marr, if anyone would look up Johnny Marr and just look at how like hard and how talented he is. He basically created the whole indie genre. And when you think about it, that or post-punk or whatever you want to call it.
I don't listen to post-punk. I listen to Post Malone.
Bruh. And he created this whole genre of what's now conceived as it's pretty similar to worship music. A lot of like alternative music is based off of the Smiths and the Cure and all these other bands that created basically.
WAP is like worship music too.
Oh, no.
Just a different kind of worship.
And I'm just gonna
keep going.
I'm just gonna skim past that.
You should.
And
let's not talk about that.
And it's really like it when you think about it, like there's a lot of bands out there that you may not know, but like Oasis, for example, without Noel Gallagher, the guitarist, watching Johnny Marr, he probably wouldn't have created the Oasis.
So these guys kind of like shape, and these are the guys that you listen to. What are some of like your music goals as an artist? What is a place that you want to get to? I talked to Julius about this on the first podcast. Where do you want to get to where you feel like you've made it? I think that you kind of know that there's really, like, you never really make it, but you get to a place where you're happy as far as being. Mm-hmm.
I think what I want to do more than ever is I want to speak to people's lives, because there's not a lot of artists out there that are speaking about your life and what you're going through or what I'm going through. They're more speaking about, I did this, I did that, and I have this, and I have that. I mean, obviously they're speaking about their lives, but it's not saying anything to people. And especially in these tough times that we're in, you know, people really need other people. Facts. And for me, it's not about being popular. It's more about getting the point across to people that, you know, people see no worth in you. I do.
Is this something you want to do full time?
I would like to, but at the same time, I know that one day it's going to get to this point where it's just going to cease. And I'll be happy with where it is. At least I spoke to a majority group of people, spoken to their lives, like how the Smiths spoke into my life and how God has spoken into my life. That's and how, you know, people have spoken into my life. Yeah.
Basically, you just want to have a positive impact through your music.
Yeah, and I want people to feel like it's okay. Like every person, whether it's like you're the most popular person, we all still have problems and we all still have things that we go through. Even that perfect guy that looks totally handsome.
Thank you.
Like you. No homo.
Chill.
Bruh.
Yeah, I just want those people, because people go through things and
right. You want people to relate to your stuff. You want people to feel like they have a place to kind of sulk, I guess, and just relate. That's like the big reason why people listen to music, just to relate.
Yeah.
That's why people like NF. If you're going through it, you're feeling depressed, listen to NF. And you'll feel like you're heard. You feel like you're not alone. You feel like someone out there, especially on a higher platform, relates to the feelings that you're feeling.
I mean, that's for me, there's another, I'm not going to say that I completely hate rap.
Yeah.
Or I'm like crapping on rap.
Right.
But for sure, 90s rap. 90s rap had a huge, like, Tupac. Even though you were bagging on him, that he talks about.
No,
that,
because you said.
No.
I feel like this is what he said. We were driving to LA. I feel like 90s rap just had a different respect for women. And then I brought up the Tupac line where he says, "That's why I blanked your blank, you fat blanker."
He was talking towards Biggie.
Yeah.
He wasn't talking towards...
He was talking about a woman, though.
Okay, he was talking towards Biggie, though. It wasn't intentionally towards, like, I hate this woman. Because there's a couple of songs out there that he talks about respecting women. And men, you need to stand up and start respecting women.
Yeah. Is that the Mama song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like there's also...
Damn, bro, I feel bad. I didn't even know the name of the song. And
it's called Dear Mama.
Yeah. I've listened to it. I just don't listen to Tupac enough.
But when you really think about it, like even NWA, when they started talking about real things and about being, you know, not having anything, that spoke to people.
Yeah.
You know, that started like a whole movement. And because there were so many people out there that, you know, were going through the same things that they were going through, and that's why people really fed off of that.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with the Smiths, and I don't believe that it's like that anymore with music nowadays. It's like it's mainly it's mainly this guy with, you know, colored hair, and
I feel like there's a stereotype though. You're stereotyping people right now.
And colored teeth, and, you know, blicky up. Real sticky up, you know.
I feel like you're just shouting out Tekashi 6ix9ine.
You mean the rat?
That song was hard.
No.
And you turned into a rat? I was like, bro.
It's terrible.
It is terrible. Like what he raps about is absolutely terrible, but
he's terrible. He's terrible.
I don't know enough to tell him about that.
He's terrible.
6ix9ine, if you ever want to come on this podcast, you're welcome.
6ix9ine, if you ever want to get slapped in the face, my
Bro,
hand is available.
He's got hella security, and you probably pack him. But we'll end it right there. Shout out to Takashi69. You are invited on the podcast. Will, thank you for joining me. Ending it on music and your music career. I hope and pray, and I know you will, go hard with your music, and hopefully
Go off.
I'll be able to attend one of your concerts. For those of you who don't know, Will actually leads worship at our men's group, and he kills it. Keep it up, bro. Appreciate having you on the podcast. Thanks for the cool conversations. For all you people watching on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. For all the people listening on whatever podcast platform you're listening on, make sure you subscribe. And yeah.
And follow me on
follow Will on Instagram. Drop one of your Instagram handles.
Okay.
We don't have time for two.
So my Instagram handle is you could just cut it off right here. No, my Instagram handle, I do photography, and if anyone wants to get any pictures taken, just hit me up. It's at Teenage Blue Photos.
At Teenage Blue Photos. You heard it, bro. Thank you guys again for listening, watching. We will see you on the next one.